Hey everyone, Andrew McMillan with Warm Audio here. Today we are checking out our new Throne of Tone dual overdrive pedal. Normally with these videos, we just dive into the history, the components, what went into the design. This time around, we want to dive in and really get to know the pedal, play it, twist some knobs, turn some switches. Let's check it out. So the year's 1966. A new record comes out with an iconic guitar sound that's still being sought after to this day. That's John Mayall's record, Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton. On that record, Eric Clapton famously played his Marshall JTM 45 in the live room with everybody else. It was bleeding into every single mic, and he played it just like he would play it live, cranked all the way up. That natural kind of distortion, compression that was happening on that record became the inspiration for eventually what became the Throne of Tone. So that brings the story of this circuit into the 1990s, when the goal was to take that iconic sound and capture it and put it into a pedal format. In the 2000s, this guitar tone is being sought after by guitar players across the world. And the boutique pedal market really captures this circuit, modifies it, explores with it, and puts out some really iconic pedals, probably the top one being what inspired our King setting, our Throne of Tone. The list of artists that have used the original circuit just goes on and on. Everybody from, we're in Austin, Texas, Gary Clark Jr. to Noel Gallagher of Oasis, John Petrucci. It really is an overdrive pedal that has crossed tons of different genres. Our goal with the Throne of Tone was to pay loving tribute to two iconic, transparent overdrive circuits. The first one being an amp-in-the-box style circuit based off of a classic vintage combo amp. And the second being a modification of that first circuit that has grown to its own sort of fame. So for those of you keeping score at home, the Throne of Tone is based off a boutique, dual-sided mid-gain overdrive. It's really hard to come by, really expensive if you buy one used, which is based off of a famous transparent type overdrive, which was based off of a famous vintage combo amp. It's pedalception in here. So let's talk components. Like I mentioned, our goal was to put that original blues circuit in there along with that famous modification, the King setting. And one of the things we found was the op amps had a ton to do with those two differences in sound. So in the King setting, we wanted to go with the true to form JRC 4580 op amps. We thought that really nailed that modified circuit. While in the blues setting, we wanted to go with the TL072 op amps. And in between those two, we figured we really nailed those character, response, sound of both circuits in the Throne of Tone. So let's take a look at the Throne of Tone before we dive in and start listening to it. You'll notice there's a lot of switches, there's a lot of knobs, but really we're looking at two halves of the exact same pedal. So on each side is just a mirror image of the other. And that's how that famous boutique modification of the circuit, that's what made it so famous, was to be able to stack that circuit on top of itself, actually. So let's dive in, let's give the Throne of Tone a listen. So first things first, this is supposed to be a transparent overdrive. So the clean tone that we're starting with is really important, so let's start there. We're playing our matchless Laurel Canyon 1x12 combo amp. We've got it mic'd with our Warm Audio Fintone and WA19 microphones. Got a touch of reverb, touch of delay. Let's give that a listen to start. So if we turn on the first side of the Throne of Tone, we've got this set to our blues setting. We've got it set to a boost, which is gonna give us the least amount of distortion and compression, and we've got it on the low gain setting. So this is your standard kind of drive an amp, really, really light gain kind of setting in that blues mode. Let's give that a listen. So as we turn up the gain a little bit, we'll compensate on the volume. We can start driving the throne tone on that blues setting a little bit more. Let's check that out. So that's a more extreme kind of setting for this pedal, but it can definitely go there. So first things first, let's flip our drive setting. So this is something that's we're really excited about, because a lot of versions of that modified boutique version of this pedal, right, had a bunch of settings that were under the hood. That was one goal with the Throne of Tone. We wanted to bring those out, make them available, and make them available to that original circuit. So that's something that we're really, really excited about. So now we're on the blues setting, and we have our drive setting in OD. This is gonna give us a little bit more clipping. It's gonna drive the signal, compress it a little bit more. Let's hear that. So, and if we bring that up to distortion, that's going to be our drive setting up to distortion. That's going to be the ultimate amount of gain, ultimate amount of compression that can happen in that mode. And we're gonna crank the drive gain up a little bit. Now the last switch over here that we haven't talked about yet is our gain setting. So this was made famous by that boutique pedal that was a recreation of that original amp. So in the low setting, that's where we've been this whole time. And it was an option that you could add to that boutique pedal, where you can have one of the sides be its own low or high gain. And it just offered that next level of clipping, of saturation, of compression. And we thought it was important in the Throne of Tone to make that available on both sides with just the turn of a switch, not hard baked into it, but available there if you want it on either side. So let's check that out. So we crank up the gain on that setting. We'll compensate on the volume a little bit. So we've gone through all the different kind of parameters here on the blues setting. Let's check out the king setting, how that changes things. So I'm gonna adjust these a little bit so we can get a good starting point. We'll start on the boost, low gain setting. We'll kind of get our little halfway point here, and we're just gonna hear that and then jump into the king setting so we can hear the difference. Here we go. And we can go through that same kind of process here. We can go into the OD setting for a little bit more overdrive. And we can go into our distortion setting. And then finally, our high gain setting. So you can see, you can definitely drive both sides of this pedal. They're the exact same side, but you can set one for a much higher gain setting. You've got really 3 channels. You've got your clean tone where we're starting, with neither side on, right? You can set one side to a lower gain setting, another side to a higher gain setting. You can set both sides to low gain settings, stack them up, but let's check that out now. So we're gonna get this other side up and running here. We're gonna do a blues setting, just a boost. Low gain, we're gonna kind of set this up like it is just a clean boost. So let's hear that. So if we drive that in, let's hear it without it. Now we can drive that into our high gain. Now, if we turn off that circuit that's coming in before, here's that high gain just on its own. So you can see, you can get a ton of tonal range out of this, a ton of different gain stages out of this, just based off your settings and which side you have on, which side's going into which. So that pretty much covers the controls that were available inside and outside of that boutique modified version of this circuit. A few of the things that we added that you don't necessarily have to use, but things that we thought could be really inspiring. The first one being the presence control. So the presence control just takes a little bit of the mud out of the lower mid-range and gives you a little bit more top-end sheen. So in the fully clockwise position, that's off. And as we roll that in, let's just give that a listen. That's one of the features we added. We also thought it was important to add an effects loop, essentially, to the Throne of Tone. So on the top, you'll have an extra send and return. So if you want to put a different boost pedal, overdrive pedal, delay pedal, let's get crazy, in between these two circuits, the both sides of the Throne of Tone, you can do that. You can also, if you're running some sort of loop switcher and you want each channel on its own individual foot switch for any reason in your loop switcher, that gives you the opportunity to do that. We also added, similar to another pedal that we've done in the past, an internal voltage boost. So the Throne of Tone runs at standard 9-volt DC power, but when you turn that switch on, it will internally double that to 18 volts. So you don't have to run 18 volts to it, please don't do that, but it'll do that all on its own. So let's give that a listen. It gives it a little bit more headroom. Your gain knob is going to act a little bit differently. You're going to be able to push it a little bit more before you start breaking things up. So let's check that out. So now, if I turn that voltage boost off, as I drive up, you're going to get a lot more clipping earlier in that turn. Thank you guys for taking the time to check out the new Throne of Tone pedal with us today. If you have any questions, you want to hear some more sound samples, you want to dive into components or history of the pedal, warmaudio.com is the place to go. If you want to get hands-on, test out the pedal yourself, Throne of Tone's available worldwide at your local music shop.